still didn't work.
No.
Haters. That's what StreamYard is. StreamYard is a bunch of haters, man. A bunch of haters. And I still haven't figured out how to go around that. Anyway, man, you know what I'm saying? Podcast, we back. Another podcast. You know what I'm saying? Tonight we're gonna talk about Tim Scott. Tim Scott finally leaving the race to be a Republican presidential nominee. So that means that there will be no black person running for presidential nominee on the Republican side. And again, we're a year out from actual November elections, about a little less than a year. And also, this thing, man, where black people are becoming one issue voters, and it's a problem, for black folk, man. Mainly because these individuals spread a lot of misinformation. You know what I'm saying? Um, and and yeah, man, it's just a problem, man. And again, the plantation mentality. They think these individuals think that they're the ones leaving the plantation or left the plantation. They're the ones that stand on the plantation. That's just what it is. What's up, bro?
Oh man, nothing much, man. Nothing much, man. Just looking at the chaos that we knew that was going to come in re-election, Negroes fighting for other Negroes. No, no, don't leave. Don't leave. Master is treating you good.
Crazy, man. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like folk really believe this, man. They really truly believe that they're the ones that are leaving the planet. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? They're real big. Well, Trump this and Trump that and Trump this and Trump that.
Mhm,
Meanwhile, not paying attention to what's going on with the whole of black peoples, you know what I'm saying? You always want to have folk want to always want to have commentary on the black community, but don't realize that the black community is spread across 50 states, spread
mhm,
across regions. So you can't just simply have conversation on black community and black peoples without aggregating it out to the folks that live in the Northeast, in the South, in the West, in the Midwest. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
mhm,
And people get fooled. They really get fooled by a lot of people who are hucksters, who want to who take advantage of black people who are truly experience a lot of really truly economic issues in their lives, and these individuals are really uh having emotional commentary because they realize the same thing. These black folks who are like Nikki Dillard or Tariq Nasheed, or are even on the left side, Nina Turner. You know what I'm saying? They realize that people will respond and tune into things that make them, or that connect them emotionally. You know what I'm saying? Without any information. You do not need information. You do not need context. That doesn't matter in these spaces as long as you tune in. And you tuning in means that I, as an individual, will get money. You know what I'm saying? I will benefit greatly from it. You know what I'm saying? Rush Limbaugh knew this. You know what I'm saying? Sean
yeah,
Hannity and Fox News. This is how Fox News got the majority of their viewership. Fox News got the majority of their viewership by saying, by emotionally connecting a lot of their viewers to Obama. You know what I'm saying? Number one, using very coded language to say Obama was a black man, and more importantly, really attacking Michelle Obama, who was a black woman. You know what I'm saying? This is where they attacked Michelle Obama because she was wearing, she didn't, she showed off her muscular arms, and she's a tall woman. She's like, 5'10" or something like that. You know what I'm saying? She wanted kids to eat healthy and all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? And over the years, the Republican Party has realized that that they can trick black people, particularly some black men, into believing into a white supremacist method and a white supremacist ideology. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
No, you're correct, right? Only part where I kind of diverge into a separate lane is the clear difference when you bring up Nina Turner is she's hyper focused on on the emotional side, right?
Mm.
Where she's using context of what she's saying, but she's too hyper focused where she can't see past the trees.
Yeah, and a lot of times she can't she really she my issue with Nina Turner today is that Nina Turner focused more on white liberals truly than actual black people. It's not the old school Nina Turner. We're not talking through 2000 early 2000 Nina Turner anymore. You know what I'm saying? She's really focused on white liberals. You know what I'm saying? And white liberal message. That's just what it is.
Yeah. So and because this is the duality that black people are having the complications with, right?
Mhm.
Because because of the person like Nina Turner who speaks on real factual things and substantive things that happen to us, right? But the problem with that is the same thing that we run into with when we support like a Joe Biden, right?
Mm.
Because of the liberal policies that he have, because the through line between Joe Biden and Mitt Romney is the line that will lead us right back to white supremacy because it's always just giving excuse to the white supremacy along the way, not full stop, but this is the problem that black people are having when it comes to the liberals. But Nina Turner being hyper focused on that but not realizing that regardless of the bad policies and the bad judgment of liberals, that they also help black people achieve some of the greatest achievements that this country has seen,
Mm.
where unlike the Republican Party or conservatives have tried to take away everything that
You're
black.
right.
So this is the complication that black people are having to really understand that at the end of the day, yes, Joe Biden has some policies or believed in some things a long time ago. That's the other thing. Still trying to judge everything from 3 weeks ago in today, and not realizing the development of people, and how their thoughts blossom. Um, where he derived in a place where we got more black judges that's
Right.
being put into place,
Right.
more liberal judges that literally come from poor neighborhoods, understand the plight of black people, and so forth. But that's also extending to other places like HUD. HUD is now trying to create a policy that's going to help black owners, black people for home ownership
Because you got Marsha Fudge there.
because you got Marsha Fudge.
Yeah.
And this is the part that black people and I'm not saying that as a whole, but I'm saying a portion of black people clearly don't understand.
Or the EPA. The EPA is headed by another black man. Again, the EPA was created because people were saying that during the Nixon administration, what happened during the Nixon administration was Democrats were like, "Hey, we need to create something because people are saying that these corporations and plants are poisoning their community." You know what I'm saying? And again, Nixon had to sign it because it was a veto-proof piece of legislation. You know what I'm saying? But again, you have a black man who's come from these areas, these circumstances, or understands. You know what I'm saying? What's going on in these neighborhoods when we talking about the environment? you know what I'm saying, and how the environment impacts folk, man. People don't understand. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you live in Panama City, Florida, you know what I'm saying, and you have a paper mill factory, well, that paper mill factory cannot just pump its chemicals into the water and poison the fish and poison the land because of EPA regulations. And of course, where we're from, and what I mean, DuPont can't simply just pump its what I'm saying, it's poison and thing. Part of the comedic part of the Simpsons of the three-eyed fish was because of corporations like the DuPonts that was allowed prior to the formation of the EPA to just pump poisonous poisonous things into the water and affect the fish, and
Mhm.
people who are who depended upon that sustenance, what I'm saying, because they, supplemented their family by going and fishing, which is something that is virtually free, what I mean, or at a low cost, you know what I'm saying? The EPA, was created so those families could then, be healthy and stuff. So, you know, um, where my critique of an individual like a Nina Turner is really based in not understanding progress. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? We got folks here, that are fighting for perfection. You aren't going to get perfection because there are way too many people who are alive today that were born out of being resistive to the civil rights movement. And this is where
Mhm.
the critique of Joe Biden comes from, you know what I'm saying? Because part of him being resistive to the civil rights movement was because there were voters, particularly white voters, who told Joe Biden, "I'm not gonna vote for you if you aren't resistive to busing." And people need to
Mhm.
understand that. You know what I'm saying? He didn't just come out of this out of anywhere, you know what I mean, because of his beliefs or his ideologies. It was because of voters, people who was going to keep him in office, and that's what he wanted to do, right? Keep himself in office. So he had to do what was the will of the voters. So if you aren't recognizing that it is people who are controlling and in some ways forcing these politicians to have these ideologies, I think that that is a flaw, you know what I'm saying, in your beliefs, personally, you know what I'm saying? Not you, but I'm just saying,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I know exactly.
person.
Yeah. So
Mm,
so again, the things that we're pointing out is the other problem on the other side when you're talking about conservative black conservatives, right? You
mhm,
can talk, you can mention white conservatives, but they are who they are because that's who they've been.
mhm.
But with black conservatives, they ask for nothing.
Yeah,
They
that's right.
demand of nothing from
That's right.
their politicians. So again, they wait for the top down message to regurgitate the top down message instead of forcing them to say, "Hey, we need a black agenda." Just on our Facebook page, we constantly keep asking the same question: What policy has conservatives created to support black people? You keep telling me about, well, the dollar has circulated, don't circulate in the black community. Okay, well, tell me the policies that affected that. Tell me who went against that. Tell me who created the laws to stop that. Tell me who in the Republican Party is trying to change that. And
Bro, exactly,
you
man.
never get an answer.
You can't get an answer because at the end of the day, man, one of the things that I keep saying and we keep saying is that there are black people who do not like black people. And the way that they come across as saying that they don't like black people is by doing just that, right? They go against any policies that would benefit black people, right? They ally with the opposition. You know what I'm saying? And one of those things that we were talking about, in the beginning is how the plantation mentality, right? People think, these black conservatives think that they're the ones leaving the plantation, right? And they're the ones trying to stay because they don't understand how the plantation operates or
Yeah.
how the plantation operated, right? Plantation was just built for people to stay there, to believe that they needed to stay there and they needed to produce and benefit the for benefit and create profit for the CEO or the slave master. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so these individuals, they think that, the best way to benefit the system at large, you know what I'm saying, is to oppose anything that will allow anybody to have free thought and or freedom to leave. You
Yeah.
dig what I'm saying? So they go out here. I support Trump. I support Trump, and I support immigration, and again, we had somebody post about we had somebody post about the circulating dollar. Not understanding that
Yeah.
if a dollar circulates in a community, the dollar is worthless because it's not touching the global economy.
Mhm.
It has to touch the global economy. You know what I'm saying? If it doesn't touch the global economy, that dollar's worthless. It's already lost its value. You know what I'm saying? If it's not immediately. But anyway, that's maybe I'll get into that later. But the
Yeah.
yeah,
So again, it's the complex that black people are having when you come from nothing, when you
right.
when you when you don't have business owners in your family, when
Mm,
you don't set up your own business and go through the struggles of understanding how to set up your own business, you 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 romanticize um the 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 the, the cultural whiteness of having business. That's
yeah.
what leads you to sit back and you know you believe in Elon Musk, right? But not realizing he was given $400,000 to be able to start like all of these different things. Jeff Bezos, so all of these different things. They were giving money from established parents, which you don't have because your parents were not allowed to establish anything. And that romanticism right there has it's a mental breakdown
Hmm. Hmm.
in fully understanding how one capitalism works,
Hmm.
how neoliberalism works, and how white supremacy works.
Hmm.
And a lot of times they all work together simultaneously.
Yeah, man,
It-
that's a good point. No, no, that's a good point, and I never thought about that. You know what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of my viewpoints is from the fact that our mom tried to start a business. Right? She was a seamstress. Not only did our mom, my grandmother also as well, try to start business. Not only my grandmother, uncle, uncle, our Uncle Joe. He tried to start his own electrician business. You know what I'm saying? Like you need people to participate in your business. Those people that are going to participate in your business, they need money. They are looking at it as, can I pay my rent? Can I buy food? You know what I'm saying? So when you talk about a circulation of a dollar, like you got to understand, like folk are looking at all of these aspects. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of my commentary, I think, and I never thought about it until you said this. I think a lot of my commentary is coming from the fact of me watching my mom sew people's dresses, taking the time to participating in fashion shows, have her own business. Even up until her death, she had a business account. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And there was no benefit from it because of where she economically existed in the community. Where she economically existed in the community, those folks couldn't participate in it. You
No.
know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah, they couldn't participate, they couldn't buy the product, they couldn't create, a wealth because again, you talking about a circulating dollar, and these folks ain't got a savings account. So your dollar can't circulate because the bank can't lend out money because the bank don't have folks in the bank who are have a bank account, right? They're just putting their money in just to hold it, because the company is forcing them to have a direct deposit. That money is in there just so they can pay bills. There's no saving account creation, so therefore, if there's no savings account creation, then that bank can't take risk on people who have a low credit score. So there is no circulation of the dollar. It is stagnant. And these folks who talk about a circulation dollar, they do not understand banking, even at the basic level. I understand banking. I understand money at a very basic level. And money was created at a very, very basic level, right? Like I have this thing, you have this thing. Let you know what I mean? I'm gonna use this so I can purchase your goods. You're gonna use this to purchase my goods. That's how I understand banking, you know what I'm saying? People who talk about circulate dollar, I don't they
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Again, because it's this misconception because of the history of Black people in America. We really have a hard time understanding capitalism.
Yeah.
One, because we're like it's not natural to how we are wired.
Mhm, mhm.
We're not mentally wired to just look at money over people.
Right.
Which, if you hear Tim Scott, Brian Donalds, like all of these other people, what they're telling other Black people is, excuse my language, man, fuck them other Black people, get your money.
No, that's really what they're saying.
And it's the pushing of selfishness when
Individualism.
you individualism, it, all all to get to a place where, okay, if I'm a business owner, we run a business, and at the end of the day, we haven't went to a bank yet to go sit back and borrow a dollar,
Mhm, mhm,
right?
mhm.
But we also watch our white counterparts who deal with venture capitalists,
Mhm.
who deal with, like all of these people who set up shell companies and all of this other stuff. Man, they are doing 10 times the business that we can do.
Mhm.
And they really have the same money as us individually,
Mhm.
but because they have access.
Access, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Folks don't understand that. The people who
Yeah,
talk about the circulating dollar, they do not understand access to capital. Access to capital is very key to whether a circulating dollar happens. And,
yeah,
and black folk are always compared to the Jewish community and all this other, Asian community and stuff. And they don't understand these communities had access to capital. Not only did they have access to capital, they had a connection to the global market
mhm,
because whether you were in Chinatown in San Francisco, Chinatown, New York, you had a group of people that required goods from China. So since you had people who required goods from China, you had connections to the global market. Since you had connections to the global market, you can then have connections to, banking systems that's going to loan you money. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? More importantly, you have connections to people that's going to give you capital because you're going to want goods. Jewish people, and a lot of times when people talk about Jewish people, they need to separate Jewish folks. You know what I'm saying? Because it is Ashkenazi Jews, which means German Jews, and then you have
mhm,
Sephardic Jews, which means Spain Jews from Spain. It's the Ashkenazi Jews that come over to America. You know what I'm saying? They have a connection back to Europe because the folks in America required the goods from their homeland or from where they were from. You know what I'm saying? It's like Germans. You know what I'm saying? I tell people all this all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's we in America we have Germantown, German County. Like, why do
Mhm.
you think we have Germantown or German County or something named after a German folk? Because there were
Yep.
German people living there. So what do
Yep.
you think those German people needed? They needed goods. Where do you think they got it from? They got it from Germany. You have to connect to a global economy. The one thing that African American peoples don't have is a connection back to Africa, right? To require goods and services from there. And so we require goods and services in order to connect to the global economy. So you try to create a global economy within America, but the problem is that we are segregated. There are 50% of us that live in the South, another 17 or 20% that live in the Northeast, 17 to 20% live in the Midwest Chicago area, and less than 10% lives in Chicago. You know what I'm saying?
You
There
mean
was somebody.
California?
What's up?
You said Chicago again. You mean California? The 10%.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I'm sorry. 10%, less than 10% lives in California. So they live from Arizona up to Alaska. There's less than 10%. Because
Mhm.
somebody shared something in there about, somebody doing an interview, why aren't there black people hired in LA? There ain't that many black people.
Yeah.
Like, for real, there are not. The highest population of black people are, I think, Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia. I can't remember the fourth. Delaware is like 5, I think, 5 or 6.
Yeah, somewhere in that ballpark. You got DC.
Yeah, oh, DC, yeah, DC 4, and I
Mhm.
think Delaware is like 5 or 6.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then you got down, Louisiana. I mean, not Louisiana.
Mhm.
Alabama. Somewhere down there. Um,
Yeah, mhm. Yeah,
uh,
but folks aren't paying attention to that. You know what I'm saying? They're paying attention to, and when we talk about black people being one issue voters, they're not looking at that. You know what I'm saying? Looking at how black people are spread out or aggregated throughout America. The continent of America is big. It's pretty big.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and so you're leading to another point, right? Where again, why would you cut the liberal off again? You know what I'm saying? If your numbers looking like that, why would you cut the liberal off?
Uh,
To
yeah.
work with a Confederate? You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make any sense because politics is based off of numbers,
Yes. Not land.
not land. So yeah, the one person that will allow me at the table, yes, he may not give me every single thing that I want.
Mhm.
I will sit back and sit at that table.
Mhm.
Now, the person that don't want me to sit at the table,
Don't want you in the
i.e.,
room.
don't even want me in the room, i.e., what did you see when Trump had black folk in the table? I mean, in the room, and it was everybody else. No black person was at the table. They
Yeah.
were standing up in the back.
Yeah, man.
And that image right there should really give people an understanding of, yeah, they don't plan on doing nothing for you. These black folk that's sitting here in this room, man, they just being used.
Yeah.
And they willing to be used because again, individualism, they are worrying about their own pockets. That's why a person like Vicky Diller can tell you something, to make you upset and outrageous, but never give you any context, but then turn around and tell you, hey, buy my product.
Exactly. Oh, it's a scam, man. It's a scam. And you know what I'm saying? But you won't recognize a scam because you're emotionally connected. You know what I'm saying? You're not rationally connected. There's no rationale to why you feel the way that you feel. You know what I'm saying? Like, as we talk about, we get in a conversation with one individual, you know what I'm saying? There's no rationale. You know what I mean? You shoot down every talking point this person has. There's no
Mhm.
rationale. So the only rational thing that you can come to is that, that this person don't like black people. You are black, a black person, and you don't like black people. You know what I mean? It's like a Tim Scott. You know what I'm saying? Tim Scott. The only reason Tim Scott has been on the stage the last 2 Republican debates is because he was black.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You polling at less than 2% nationally. You are polling way low than your other counterpart from South Carolina in Nikki Haley. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like double digit lead. You know what I'm saying? But yet you getting up there, you know what I'm saying? And you talking about what was he talking about? Something about, America's not a racist country and this, that, and the third. Sir, are you are being completely obtuse. And then you're talking about America is not a racist country, yet your white donors forced you to purchase a girlfriend, homie, and show her off. And it led to nothing, right? Like Tim Scott, brother, brother, you need to wake up. You can still be a conservative and be a Michael Steele conservative and call out racism, and then you know what I'm saying, and be a
Yeah.
martyr.
When he turned around and it was a white lady, right? They said, "That was a bridge too far. We told you go get a girlfriend. We
Oh,
thought she was gonna be black."
bro. No, 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 for real. No, 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 for real. That, that,
Yeah,
that's what it is. They wanted his girlfriend to be black.
yeah, yeah.
They did not want his girlfriend to be white.
That
Oh,
was a
man,
bridge too far, man.
bro. Once they showed that, man, they showed that white woman. Man, he showed that white woman. They're like, nah, bro, you done,
Campaign was over in 24 hours.
done. Yeah, exactly. The next day, you know what I mean? His
Donors
staffers,
were they rolled out in hours.
bro. His staffers was upset with him because they were like, oh, we didn't know he was shutting down the campaign. What was going on? You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? Man, obviously these are people who are hired, so now they gotta go find new jobs elsewhere.
yeah.
But at the same time, you make a great point. That was the point. They called out his girlfriend because they expected his girlfriend to be black because they wanted him to attract black voters.
Yes.
Him having a white wife or a white girlfriend was not going to attract black voters, particularly black men. They
Mhm.
knew this, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Article came out 2 days later, bro,
What's
that
up?
the article came out 2 days later that
Mhm,
black conservatives, that whatever their caucus is, were upset
mhm.
because Tim Scott didn't focus on his blackness enough.
I mean
Like, and you could see all of the through lines. Yeah, it was that white woman, man.
I mean, that's
Like,
that yeah, that's what it was, man, and we're not disparaging, you know what I'm saying,
religion,
interracial
yeah,
relationships, man.
yeah.
What we are saying is that the people who were donating money to Tim Scott and forced this man who was he's a career bachelor. So the reason he was elected to I'm sorry, he was first selected to his senator seat by Nikki Haley.
Mhm.
He ran as a Tea Partier, and we know that the Tea Party today was based on racist ideology, not economic angst, as they try to make it out to be. You know what I mean? Saying when these majority white folks out there hanging Obama by an effigy. By a noose, and they were protesting. Had Obama with a witch bone through it through his nose and stuff like that. They were, oh no. News media was like, oh no, it's the economic angst. Nah, bro. We knew what it was about. Black folk knew what it was about. You know what I'm saying? It's about changing demographics. Anyway, these these donors who are here in South Carolina, Charleston, you know what I'm saying? They were like, hey dog, nah, we weren't expecting that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There was a news article where dude, he kind of alluded to that. You're like, man, I don't know about that.
Yeah, man. Look, man, people gotta tell the truth, man. And like, look, the Republican Party, as of today, black Republicans gotta get real with themselves.
Hmm.
It's nothing wrong with being a black conservative. But when you're lying to yourself
Mhm,
about
mhm.
who you're in bed with or who you rubbing elbows with and their ideologies, you, sir, are trying to hurt other black people,
Yeah, yeah,
ma'am,
yeah.
as well. Like, you're
Mhm.
trying to hurt other black people because
Yeah,
literally that is the people that you're rubbing the elbows with.
that's it, man.
You
You
know,
know,
you can call out Joe Biden, like, which he has been called out throughout the years about, uh, you know, some of the racist things said. But again, when you look at the path of how he has reviewed and relearned some thoughts and realized the only way that this nation is going to be saved is through black people.
yeah,
He understands that, and that thought right there is enough to sit back and just like, okay, now I want to sit back and yeah, I'm still going to push on him about some issues, but I also know that he's the one who will allow me as a black person to be in the room to give my point of view.
yeah, yeah. He's appointed the most black judges than any president of the United States. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
man, look at the army. I mean, the armed forces.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. He
Go down the line.
go down the line, man. There's black people being promoted in positions like you don't have that happen without a Joe Biden as a president. You know what I'm saying? Who makes those decisions? You know what I'm saying? But outside of that, a lot of the decision making is not being made by Joe Biden. It's being made by the Senate. You know what I'm saying? The Senate, as we've seen with the recent CR that passed, current the continued resolution that was passed by the House, Democrats had to vote in in mass in order for a continued resolution to get passed, so the federal government doesn't get shut down. You know what I'm saying? Um, but a lot of these issues are because of Democrats as a party, not only as a federal party, but even on a state level. What we seen in that happened in Tennessee, Texas. I'm sorry,
Mhm,
the voucher scam that really was going to transfer wealth, the state taxes to the wealthy in this country. You know what I'm saying? It was
mhm,
Democrats who shot that down. And in a state like Texas is pretty diverse because you do have black people, you have people of a Hispanic descent and Asian descent who also join in. You know what I'm saying, to ensure that a uh, uh, that all people are represented, and you're just not taking something like the voucher scam, which that's what it's become, a transfer of wealth. Much like the Trump tax cuts. The Trump tax cuts were a transfer of wealth from the middle class and the people in the lower class to the upper class. You know what I'm saying? Of folks, which benefited only 2% in this country. You know what I'm saying? And those were not paid for. That was an immediate, you know what I'm saying, tax. And we're feeling that today. And again, let me put this out there for folks. Without a Joe Biden, you do not get a tax code that's switching again. You know what I'm saying? To benefit you, so you can get more money in your pocket.
mhm,
Because just now, President Joe Biden just approved for the tax code, or wanted the tax code to get changed, to change people's tax brackets so folks can get more money in their pocket. You know what I'm saying? Because it's about the economics. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, the Republicans want to take more money out of your pocket, and they
mhm.
want you to work until you die
Yeah,
from the age of 13 or 14 in some states, because they're allowing 13 and 14-year-olds to work until you are 72. You know what I'm
which
saying?
which have increased 40% in the southern states. So
Crazy.
so so young teenagers increased about 40% in most states in the
Yeah,
South. Just
yeah,
to work.
yeah.
And like people like, man, again, man, talking to a black conservative and to not when you point these points out, t- they just completely ignore these
Mhm,
facts.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, because the facts don't matter, right? Because at the end of the day, because, as a Black conservative, um, um, they are becoming just as tribal as, as the majority of white folks that vote Republican anyway, you know what I'm saying? They do not while and I keep saying this, man, there are Black people who have Black families. They participate in Black culture. They identify as Black. They have Black children. They participate in Black fraternities and Black sororities. They go to Black churches. They live amongst Black people. They live next to Black people. They do all types of Black things and they do not like Black people. Okay. They see the overarching social system and they recognize who benefits from society. They recognize economically who benefits. And so they want a piece of the pie as well. The only way to get a piece of that pie is if you assimilate. They can assimilate to being white because of their skin, but they can assimilate in ideology and they can assimilate in thought. Right.
Mhm.
And if they assimilate in ideology, they assimilate in thought. Well, this is how we get to the issue of an individual like a Vicky Dillard who was talking about an immigration that has nothing to do with Black people. You know what I'm saying? That has nothing to do with Black people, man. And it tricks Black people. You know what I'm saying? Some Black folk.
Yeah. So you see it happening in Chicago and New York and so forth, right?
Hmm.
And the only reason why it's on the news because again, black people are being used
Mm,
in these places. It's a reason why the film that's circulating is not of an outrage, you know, white person making an outrageous comment about somebody coming over the border and calling them illegal.
mhm,
What they're focusing on is the black person who goes and repeat it
mhm.
and not realizing that he's not affected one way or another by anybody crossing that border
No.
because at the end of the day, what I hear in my business is white people complaining that Mexicans are taking their jobs. That's
Mm,
what I get to hear
yeah.
in the construction sector.
Mhm.
I don't hear black people talking about that.
Mm.
Talking about because they're coming in and lowering their price, and I got to sit back and lower my price to sit back and be competitive with them.
Yeah.
And falling for this nonsense, you could see it play out in Florida, where Ron DeSantis literally had policies against immigrants, and they left the state, which then hurt their local economics.
Yep.
And the first thing he made a comment because he expected black people to start
Mhm.
filling those roles, but not
Mhm.
realizing they didn't have the skills to fill the roles.
That's it, man. That's it. The dude anecdotally, right? There's a dude who was I'm sorry, he was putting in our fence, and he was talking about how he wants to hire black people. He's like, "But ain't no black people hiring." He's like, "Even if I do hire black people, they don't last that long."
Mhm.
He's like, "They like 3 they might maybe 3 months." He's like, "Maybe." He's like, "And ain't a lot of them that last." And when we lived in Arizona, right? They had protest during the DACA thing. I think it was around like 2009, 2010 or something like that. They had a protest and there was this Mexican person that he gets on these interview. He's like, "Who you think gonna work these fields? You think black people gonna come out here and do this?" You know what I'm saying? Who you think gonna go out in the fields and work in the fields? You know what I'm saying? Like I can understand if you're talking about, you know what I mean, the hospitality field, you know what I'm saying, where there are black people, the majority of jobs black people, take up is in the hospitality field, retail,
Okay.
I like in nursing homes and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? Outside of that, you know what I'm saying? Many of the fields that make, 6 figures or higher figure jobs, they don't have a lot of black people working these jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had the brain because of America's brain drain policy, which was to take, the smartest people from other countries and make them citizens. Vivek Ramaswamy
Mm.
parents, you know what I'm saying? Nikki Haley's parents, you know what I'm saying? Whose Nikki Haley parents came over here and nobody wanted to hire her dad, who had all these degrees, and it was HBCU that hired her dad, you know. Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, but because of the brain drain policy, Trump's wife, Melania, comes over here. She gets an Einstein visa. Well, why does she get an Einstein visa? Because America's brain drain policy, which is that we want to take the smartest people from these different countries. These people already who have degrees, they already have money. They come over here, and we expedite their citizenship in America, Elon Musk, so that they can then contribute to American society. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these things, and you notice something with Vicky Dillard. You know what I'm saying? Even in Tariq Nasheed, they don't ever talk about what jobs are being taken from black people. They
Yeah.
don't. They don't ever talk about it. All they say is jobs. Well, what jobs? It matters. You know what I mean? Black folk
Yeah.
don't care. Black folk don't care if you're taking away the menial jobs. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Black folks trying to, we're slowly trying to tell our kids we're sending our kids to college so that they can have, you know, the good jobs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like the automotive strike, right?
Mm,
Well, well, that union, like most of their workers were black.
yeah. Yeah.
Most of the union members of those strikes were upwards of 50 something percent.
Hmm.
And like people don't well, black conservatives don't understand that when you remove that in a sector that we are overly represented, that that is the middle class of blacks.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's just the reality of the situation. And again, like you're saying, black conservatives don't pay attention to that stuff because it don't matter. Because again, narrative is more important than context.
Yeah,
Right? Because it's easy just to throw some words out there and to throw a figure out there. You know what I mean? And then there's like a Vicky Diller, and it always cracks me up because an individual like a Vicky Diller, people will promote her as some sort of liberal or something. She's always been a conservative. She's always been that way. You know what I'm saying? She you know what I'm saying? And people promote, oh well, Vicky Diller said this of it. I don't, you know what I'm saying? She wants, she wants to stay on the plantation, to use plantation language because that makes her comfortable. You know what I'm saying? The folks when folks are talking about the plantation, when people stayed on the plantation or wanted to stay on the plant because it was comfortable.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Freedom or fleeing, that was the hard thing to do. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And,
yes.
and people get a misunderstanding of the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement wasn't to vote for Democrats. The civil rights movement was to force America to give black people rights that was guaranteed to us under the 14th and the 15th Amendment. That's what it was about. And that is why you had the Civil Rights Act of 1965. It wasn't to join a political party. There was no point in Black history where the point of us, protesting or doing whatever was to join a political party. Even when you want to talk about Black men being Republicans in the after the Civil War, that wasn't the point. The point was to create better lives, better quality of life for Black people. You know what I'm saying? So if today in 2023, if you are in opposition of that, You know what I'm saying? You really truly need to question what it is that you ideologically believe
Yeah,
about black people, how you see yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's about progress. You know what I mean? It's not perfection. It is about progress because we did not progress out of the civil rights movement. We didn't progress. Or you know what I'm saying? There was folks who just kind of just like, oh man, I'm glad we do that. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? So
Just
now
exhausted.
today, go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying black people were just exhausted.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. Black folks were exhausted. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like even I was thinking about this the other day. Like, you know what I mean? Me being the oldest of five, I was the first one in 1978 born completely free in this country. That was 1978. We had parents, our parents, who they grew up during Jim Crow. They did not have freedom as children. You know what I mean? And people don't understand this Jim Crow policies, particularly because we have one of our parents that grew up in the South. Those policies lasted until, until the 1970s. You know what I'm saying? So us growing up in the late 1970s, we were the first ones that grew up with true freedom, you know what I'm saying, in this country. You know what I'm saying? And people do not understand time and do not understand the connection of time. You know what I'm saying? And so, a lot of times and so we're fooled because again, we think that voting is about voting for a political party. It's not. It's voting for your life experience and what it is that you are experiencing, not only for you, but your children, right?
mhm,
Like it's voting for your children, man. Like what is the world you are going to leave behind? Because the one thing that is guaranteed is taxes and death. So if you're sitting here making an individual a selfish decision about what it is that you feel and not what you leave behind for your children, you know what I'm saying? Then you are completely being selfish, man, because you're looking at a political party in the Republican Party, no matter if it's federal or state. These folks generationally were upset about the New Deal because it helped the average person, because it created welfare programs, because it created the weekend, because it created 40-hour work weeks, because it created insurance if you got fired or released from your job. You know what I'm saying? It created all these things. There are people who are upset about that, and then those same folks generationally was upset because the 1965 during the civil rights movement actually gave black people citizenship. You know what I'm saying? So these folks were upset about that, and so what you are watching and what we have on the screen, and if you look at it, this is the dismantling of the civil rights movement, any civil rights legislation, New Deal legislation to create a class of people who are the haves and the have-nots. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, my bad. I just don't.
No,
I
no, no, you good, man, because again, like, the path that you're taking, it leads us to a place that intellectually, what we have to understand in this moment is we have to strategically look at politicians. If you watch what happened down, matter of fact, Kentucky,
Mhm.
nobody was expecting that to happen.
Yeah.
Now you got a Democratic governor in a state that's primarily red, and you look down in what's going on in Louisiana, in those states. Like, people have to understand that we have to be strategic. Yes, we may not like what John Fetterman has said on a certain issue, right? But we got to understand that when it's legislation that will protect people's rights, you know that he will sit back and protect people's rights.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like Joe Manchin right now. You about to lose Joe Manchin a seat. You know what I'm saying? Like, and again, I don't understand Joe Manchin. You knew you were going to lose that seat, so you lost. You did not lose. You should have voted for the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. You should have voted for the child tax credit. Again, the Democrats wanted to have a child tax credit so that people with individuals with children could essentially earn income for you having a child, and you're
Mhm.
gonna sit back here and you are going to believe into and buy into, you know what I'm saying, religious, I mean, not religious, but political messaging, based on feeling. This is not about feeling, it is about policy. It is about policy. Right now, Michigan has a Democratic trifecta. Because they have a Democratic trifecta, they were able to pass legislation where children are able to get free lunch. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? In other states where you have a Republican trifecta in Tennessee, South Carolina,
Florida.
Georgia, uh, Florida, you know what I'm saying? Guess what they're doing? They're taking that away. You know what I'm saying? They're taking food out of children's mouths and things of that nature. The problem is that we're looking. A lot of people look at politics through political party, and they have this thing, right? Currently, we're seeing folks who are like, well, I'm not gonna vote for Joe Biden. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't hurt Joe Biden. He'll be 80 years old. He's 80 years old. He's a millionaire. He'll go chill out. He will get our taxpayers dollars to have a security around him and his wife. That doesn't hurt Joe Biden. That hurts you. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you don't want to vote in Louisiana. Louisiana had a chance to not only elect a black governor.
Mhm.
Louisiana is the second largest state where black people live. They had a chance
Mhm.
to elect a black governor, and they had a chance to let a black state senator in Gary Chambers. Yeah,
Mhm.
you're talking 30% of the black folk who coming out to vote. You know what I'm saying? And then you want to sit around and complain. Well, you can't
Mhm.
complain because you aren't trying to change the system. You are not trying to change it. What and a lot of it is I believe it is that, we have way too many folks who participate in this social media sloganeering, you know what I'm saying? Outrage, right? They participate in politics the same way they participate in social media. You know what I mean? Which is that, they decide where they want to participate in social media. So they're going to tune in, when something affects them emotionally, and
Mhm.
not understand that these policies don't affect you emotionally. They hit your pocket. They
Mhm.
hit your bank account. You know what I'm saying? So in Florida, you have people who are draining their savings account right now because their governor is stupid and they're paying higher premiums, you know what I mean, for housing insurance, for insurance for their home because the
Mhm.
governor is dumb. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, like I don't have time for folks who are just looking at it as I'm voting for this person because my emotions drive me that way. Your the policies. Look at your bank account. Your bank account. Not more importantly, if you have children, what world are you leaving behind? Anyway,
Well, what they found out, right? There's been some people that's been talking about this. Um, so you'll find on places like Vicky Diller, the guy Phil, who's on the same network, um, Yvette Cornell, all of these places, you'll find out that, or what they're finding out is most of these people don't even vote.
no.
So they're going online complaining, and then literally in the comments, you can literally see people. saying things like voting don't help anyway. Like you can see all of this stuff. Oh, well, if Joe Biden runs and I'm not supporting the Republican Party either, I just won't vote. They're
What?
finding out that most of these people only participated in the last two elections or one election. That's what
Yeah.
they found out.
Of course, man, because as Americans, we have a voter participation rate, even during presidential years. Off presidential years, it's even low. Man, I haven't even looked. I don't even want to look at the numbers from this year and last year because I know it's somewhere 30% or lower, particularly in these places where majority black people live, you know what I'm saying? And but here's the thing. Here's an interesting thing about an individual like Yvette Cornell, right? Yvette Cornell invented uh,
You're that.
yeah, Yvette Cornell invented ADOS. Okay, Yvette Cornell also was a member of PFAIR, Progressives for American Immigration Reform. The individual that supported PFAIR was John Tanton. John Tanton was this conservative. He participated. He created several organizations that dealt with immigration. You know what I'm saying? John Tanton had connections to Pat Buchanan. Pat Buchanan ran as a political presidential candidate in the year 2000, and guess what his vice president was? His vice president was black. Not only was she black, guess what her main issue was? Immigration. So, so this is how all this connects. Pat Buchanan, uh, Pat Buchanan was opposed to David Duke. However, he took on a lot of David Duke's messaging in I think the 1996 campaign where Pat Buchanan, where he lost. I think it was 96 or something like that. So he gets a he him, John Tanton, realized that they needed to get black people onto the immigration train. They get Pat Buchanan gets his vice president, who is black. She runs on an immigration mainly platform. Y'all can look her up on YouTube. She has a whole like video of her talking about immigration. John Tanton starts PFAIR. Yvette Cornell's part of PFAIR, and Yvette Cornell invents ADOS. And now, guess what Yvette Cornell was talking about? Immigration. Guess who is also connected to Yvette Cornell? You have Vicky Dillard. You know what I'm saying? Guess who else
Mhm.
is connected to her? You have Tariq Nasheed. Tariq Nasheed's connected to Yvette Cornell because Tariq Nasheed got on board with the ADOS movement, and then him and Yvette Cornell beef, and this is where Tariq Nasheed broke off, and then he was talking about FBA this and FBA that. Oh, by the way, guess what? Tariq Nasheed mostly talks about immigration.
Hmm.
This is how you get tricked. This is how black folk get tricked. It's kind of like you know what I'm saying. It's like
And they're raking in the money from the back door.
Yeah, yeah. But it's like how the slave how during when African peoples were enslaved, they tricked black people onto staying on the plantation. One of the ways that they tricked in black people to staying on the plantation was inventing a psychological disorder that was called drapetomania. See, you don't want to have drapetomania because drapetomania meant that, oh, well, people want to escape the plantation, the safety of the plantation where they get food, you get clothing, and sometimes, you might get some good treatment. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to be the crazy person that tries to escape. You know what I'm saying? Because the person that tries to escape, they're crazy. Not only did they invent this, when they invented this disorder, they made there were other people, black African people, when somebody came to them and talked about escaping, well, guess what you think the person did that believed in this drapetomania? They snitched. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? They were snitches. Or, you know what I'm saying? Or they talk to other enslaved people to say, "Hey, you don't wanna be crazy. You don't wanna get that kleptomania." You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So again, these folks that talk about not leaving the plantation or being on the plantation, they don't understand. They have a complete misunderstanding of what it meant to stay on the plantation. These folks who are black conservatives, they want to stay on the plantation. They don't want to have drapetomania. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. Look, and the other point is this misconception about liberalism, right? Not understanding that the Republican Party is a neoliberal party. Like,
Mm,
no, no, no. When you look at the policies and
mm,
how they support uh, um, international law, I mean, international affairs, they are neoliberal as well. Like it all spells out when you start looking at the policies,
mhm,
but they add the racist part to it.
mhm, mhm, mhm. Yeah, 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 they do, and because they add the racist part to it, and that's why it's kinda like, because, because they add the racist part to it, the racist element to it, they are more of fascist than
Yes.
they are neoliberal, right?
This was the tenet of fascism,
Right, right, it's
using the neoliberal um, tenets and then pushing the other tenets of racial hierarchy,
mhm,
classism, like all of these other different things with or through those issues. You can listen to Stalin, like how he was talking about the neoliberal policies that he had before he was tinkering with fascism.
mhm, mhm,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, or even a Mussolini, yeah,
it,
some neoliberal ideologies, but really he created the doctrine of fascism.
yes, yes,
Yeah, yeah, he created doctrine. And American, government the formation of America, people need to understand this. The quote unquote, the founders of this country, they are not my founding father. The founding of this country, the founders, the people who found this country wanted to found the country on Roman ideology. Roman ideology had a hierarchy, and that hierarchy was based on misogyny, pretty much.
mm,
Men on the top, women on the bottom, classism. It was
mhm,
based on class. So that was the point of going out into these different areas, enslaving other ethnic groups, bringing them in. Some people say the fall of the Roman Empire was because they brought too many people into the Roman Empire that weren't Roman. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So when you get the Mongols and Genghis Khan coming over, it's easier to conquer because everybody's like, I don't care, I don't live here.
yeah.
Yeah, I ain't from here. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And Rome had its best success when it was a more homogenous society.
right, when everybody was Roman, and so,
Yeah,
they made sure that everybody that was Roman were taken care of, and of course, people were mixing, but the more
mhm,
Roman that you looked, the more better you were in society, and of course, you get individuals, who were, of course, you had slave revolts and things of that nature, um, gladiators, people, that were coming from these different ethnic groups and things of that nature. But anyway, America was built off of Roman society. You know what I'm saying? And since America is built off of Roman society, it invites these idea or the fascistic ideology into it, because of the misogyny and because fascism requires, as in the Republican Party, to have one person to be the leader. This is where you get these Trump supporters. They just are goo goo gaga over Trump. You know what I'm saying? These poor white folk, you know what I'm saying, goo goo gaga over Trump, and he don't benefit them. Not realizing that the Trump tax cuts that was passed in 2017 is the reason why you paid more in federal taxes over the last year or two. You know what I mean? And the thing that Biden did, which was pass the tax reform, kind of was so you don't pay as much to the federal government. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
because
saying?
last year was the first year that the IRS,
Yep.
gave out less money.
Yep. And that's because of the Trump tax cuts. You know what I'm saying? But because folk been brainwashed to believe that if you give more money to the wealthy, they're somehow going to trickle down, money to you. That's not what happens in America. American society, if people really break it down and they look at their job, no matter where you work, it's still built on it's still built on an idea of plantation, of an overseer, you know,
Yep.
an overseer that wrote down. People don't even need to understand something. When overseers, their job was to write down when people came into work, what time they came into work, how many hours they came into work, oversee who was working and who deserved the pay raise and all this other things. You know what I'm saying? Like like American society and American society needs to understand that the plantation was built on you being at work, not necessarily doing anything. You just had to be at work. So what do the Republicans want to do? Oh, they want to pass legislation to where folks in the federal government who are currently teleworking and it benefits their quality of life, now they got to come. They want them to come back to work. It
Mhm,
don't matter whether they are efficient at work and still getting work done. They want to be able to see you.
mhm.
That's the whole point of the plantation. We still folks still live on a plantation. They don't understand it, and they don't know. They really, these folks that use all this plantation language, they really do not understand what the plantation was, and what it meant to actually be on the plantation.
And to connect that thought, that also came, that message came down from the oligarch. So,
Hmm.
the CEOs were
Hmm.
complaining about people teleworking,
Yeah, yeah.
and they wanted people to go back into the office because
Hmm.
they were losing money and still losing money on commercial properties.
Real estate, commercial properties.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they needed their overseers, I mean,
Mhm.
the people that's under them, to oversee you, to
Mhm.
tell you to get back to work.
Yeah, pretty much. Crack that whip. Get back to work.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So all these folks who use this language, man, they truly do not understand what being on the plantation is or what the mentality was. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Of folk, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, black conservatives are the one that are stuck on a plantation. They're the ones who find comfort, under a master. You know what I'm saying? And anybody who want to have freedom from that, you know what I mean? They try to bring them back in. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
"Oh, that's why I support Trump." You know what I mean? That's why I
Yeah, yeah,
support Trump. And you should support Trump too, because Trump did this and Trump did, and Trump ain't did nothing for black people.
yeah. Because that's why when you see the stark difference of like black people that voted for Biden in comparison to conservatives who voted for Trump,
Hmm.
when something that Biden is saying wrong or doing wrong, those black folks voice their opinion
Hmm.
and they tell Biden that he needs to reverse course or he needs to rethink, his policy views. What happens on the conservative side, you hear nothing.
Hmm.
You hear nothing from the black conservatives. And that right there is a clear sign of who's on the plantation and who's not.
Yeah. Currently, the Republicans and currently Republicans are Project 2025. They are interviewing 10,000 people so that if the Republican nominee becomes president of the United States, they already have individuals ready to fill cabinets. So one thing they learned under Trump was that uh really they were surprised Trump won. But
Mm.
once Trump won, Trump did not fill out for his presidency. He did not fill out all the cabinet seats, and by comparison, Reagan didn't do the same thing. But Reagan truly was a conservative that believed in small government. That's why he did not fill out the cabinet seats during his 8 years in presidency. Trump just didn't do it because he wanted to golf. That was it. Um, and because that's really what it came down to. But right now they are interviewing people to fill these seats. And guess what these folks are not gonna look like? They're not gonna look like me and you. You know what I'm saying? You can look at Trump's last presidency, you know what I'm saying? You put one of the smartest surgeons who had a book and a movie and kids learned about him in school, and you put him in charge of HUD. Come on, man. That tells you what this individual thought about the intelligence of black people, right? You don't put this person in charge of the surgeon general or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Any medical field, the
Yeah, I'm
department.
not an Omarosa fan, and I have not read her book, but I have read some passages from her book. Man, you
I'm
got
talking about Ben Carson.
no, but I'm talking about also Omarosa who worked
Oh, okay, yeah.
because she starts spilling the beans.
Mhm, mhm,
So
mhm.
to a point, she flat out was saying the racism that was in the room when
Yeah,
she was in there
yeah,
and how she couldn't speak on certain issues and whenever it was either a black person or a black woman that spoke on something that was in the room, all everybody else is like, "Psh, not listening to her."
yeah. That's
And
because they disappear.
yeah,
That's what it is. Like they just put Ben Carson in the department, the HUD, and just want him to disappear. That was it. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? That's just it, man. You know what I'm saying? And again, man, I always ask people, man, what are you, what are what are you, what are you leaving behind, man? What are you leaving behind? What is it? You know what I'm saying? um because that's always been the fight for black people, man. That has always, again, the misconception about the civil rights movement, by the way, begins in the 1880s. It does not begin in 1960s as we've been taught. It begins in the 1880s. You can go find a speech by Frederick Douglass, and Frederick Douglass is in 1883 during a conference with National Black Men conference, and he's talking about civil rights. And also Booker T. Washington is also talking about civil rights too in the 1880s, 1890s or so. And so, as always, we've been misguided about the civil rights movement, um, because there uh, folks want black people to assimilate. Hey, y'all
mhm,
don't call too much ruckus down. We ain't gonna give you much. We ain't gonna give you much. Pull yourself up by the bootstrap rhetoric. You know what I'm saying? That's where a lot of this conversation about circulating dollar and black wealth and all this other bull crap comes from. You know what I'm saying? It comes from like this bull crap bootstrap rhetoric. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? You know what I'm saying? Where, I've said it plenty of times, you know what I mean? Black people went from politics to protest. We did not go from protest to power. You know what I mean? There weren't too many people that picked up the mantle after Malcolm X or Martin Luther King, was assassinated. And as black people go into the 80s, there are black people in their 40s and their 50s and they making money. And they're like, "Oh, snap. Well, we need to just chill out for a minute." And they were not looking and focusing on what they were leaving behind. You know what I mean? And so we, those of us who are in our 40s, we have a chance to look at and see what it is that we're gonna leave behind. What are we
mhm.
leaving behind? Yeah. That's it, man. Yeah, that's
Yeah, man. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and at the end of the day, man, I don't think we again, you keep on expressing this multiple times. You can't save a black conservative.
No.
You
Mm-mm.
can't save 'em. You
No.
can't save them. They're gonna do what they're gonna do, and it doesn't matter on what facts you give them. It
Mm-mm.
doesn't matter what context that you try to bring up to kind of tie in the conversation that leads you into day. You can't even talk about Project 2025. They don't want to
Nah,
hear.
I want to hear that. I want to hear that.
But
And yeah,
remember, these people don't vote in the midterms. You know what I'm saying? They don't vote in every cycle. They are headstrong about the president. That's all they care about.
all they
Like,
care about.
like I keep on mentioning, like, okay, you telling me Joe Biden's policy, well, what happened to the other 400 and something members?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I keep asking that question. I don't get an answer
You will never.
because you got to understand it is 400 and something other people that have to vote. How did they vote? Oh, you mean to tell me that it was, 50 something percent that supported the person that you calling out? And most of them were Republicans?
Yeah,
Oh, but you don't want to criticize the Republicans for doing it.
yeah,
Hakeem Jeffries just made a statement last week talking about this was the party who, you know, um changed the civil rights laws that gave us, the 14th Amendment and so forth before they changed their ideology.
yeah,
He clearly came out and said that.
yeah,
And it went over everybody's head that
yeah.
no, they reversing course.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. Again, they're just a political party. Folks who are just upset with again, they're upset, and again, they've been brainwashed. And man, and I was thinking, man, like the what was I thinking? So when you look at other countries and other countries have all these technological advances, they can have these technological advances because they are a homogeneous society. So when they look at it, they're like, oh, well, we want a bullet train because it benefits all of us. We're all the same. See?
Mm,
In America, we can't get these technological advances because when somebody says, you know what, we need to switch to electric cars, somebody says, oh no, there's a group of people who's going to benefit from that. I gotta oppose what they are going to benefit from. For somehow, in some reason, opposing things is seen as a virtue. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? Like, you know what I mean? One thing that, being in the military, I really did not despise these folks who were fake tough guys. You know what I mean? They John Wayne. They tough guys on TV. You dig what
mm,
I'm saying? They got John Wayne mentality. You know what I'm saying? They just oppose things just to oppose it. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody else was going to benefit.
yeah.
And that's why we can't get anything. So during the 1965 civil rights movement, you had people who were like, oh, even poor whites who benefited more from the Brown v. Board of Education decision, benefited more from the 1968 Federal Housing Administration Act. You know what I'm saying? They looked at it like, "Well, no, these black people that we live next to and we live around are going to benefit because they're going to do better than us."
Mhm,
And so you get those folks who grow up as a generation, as they come into the 80s, they raise these children, you know what I mean? They have these children who were born in the 70s and the early 80s. Guess what they're telling them? You know what I'm saying? You have these folks who were like, well, I'm going to drive myself into poverty to keep my kids at these private schools, you
mhm,
know what I'm saying? In order so that they're separated from, you know, anybody else, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't want them to benefit. I don't want folks to benefit, right? We could pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act is the perfect example. You pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, a lot of our voting issues are cleared up,
yeah.
gone. But again, people are looking at it, and what you're looking at is, I believe, North Dakota or South Dakota. The Supreme Court said that their map discriminated against Native Americans. South
Mhm.
Carolina, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, North Carolina. The Supreme Court said their Voting Rights Act or their how they split up the vote, how they did their oh my gosh, I
The
can't even
district the
yeah,
districting.
redistricting. Yeah, yeah, the districting discriminated against black people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, like you benefit from from progress, from any progress that a marginalized group wants. You know what I'm saying? You benefit. The reason you get a 40-hour work week or anything is because of marginalized group Europeans coming over here, being mistreated, being, you know what I mean, being overworked, their children working. This is why you get a 40-hour work week. This is why you get weekends. You
Mhm.
know, Eh, eh,
Y Yeah, look, I know it's the frustration, right?
it's
Because
frustrating. It's frustrating.
because, like you pointing out the Voters' Right Act, right? Since 2012, they were reporting that, you know, eh, millions of people were purged off voters lists throughout the country since 2012, right? It's white and black.
Yeah,
So in places, they took away your voting power just because,
yeah, it don't
just
matter.
because, you know what I'm saying? Like, less people vote, man. I might have a chance to win.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I live in a town now where, it's up somewhere 18,000 people live in this area. Man, you know how many people voted this past cycle? I didn't even get it. I didn't go vote.
Man, probably about 1,000.
Yeah, but I didn't go vote because I had an emergency that popped up.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Mhm, mhm.
So at the end of the day, it's just like, okay, but yeah, you want to know how many people actually voted?
Yeah.
It wasn't even 1,000 people.
Look, my councilman in my area, he got elected by 800 votes. And that's but people aren't understanding that like the minority of people are deciding what goes on in this country. And a lot of people think that it's all these people. It's like the civil rights movement, right? People think that it was like millions of people participating in civil rights. No, it was only like a couple 100,000. It wasn't a lot, you know what I'm saying? That actual participated in the civil rights movement. You know what I'm saying? Um, voting is the same way. Voting is not a lot of people, man. It's not, like, and the Republicans know this. The Republicans know that the only reason that they win anything in this country is because, they reduce the number of people who can vote. Yeah, and the way you do that, you create voter apathy. You create laws like that happened after, the 2020 election where you had over 200 laws that was created to,
Mhm.
basically, suppress voting, you know what I'm saying? Make long lines, right? There were states that had, in Virginia and in Mississippi, in particular, had basically they got rid of polling places, and so people had to go to these few areas, and it created long lines. Well, Americans are impatient people, and all you need is a couple hundred or a couple thousand, to get out of line. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, man, I can't be sitting in the line 3, 4 hours. You know what I'm saying? There was one place in Mississippi that ran out of one or 2 places that ran out of paper ballots, like, come on, man, like and then they were delaying, and then the Democrats went and tried in that state, went and tried to get, the polling places to stay open longer. The Republicans wanted to close the places.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, again, man, people need to
Which they
understand.
already which they already had put in legislations to close the polling places at 5 o'clock when they were previously open to 7.
Till 7. Yeah, yeah, till 7. And they didn't even want them to open an extra hour, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And you had to do these things, and it's like, man, like, people do not understand, like, a lot of times when, like, people participate in these political conversations, again, it's not again, this map right here of the House, the reason that the Republicans have the majority in the House is not because there were this huge majority of people that voted for them. The reason they have these seats and the reason why they're possibly going to lose these seats in 2024 is because they took away voting they because of redistricting in a lot of these
Mhm.
areas. That's why they won, and that's why they weren't, excited. That's why they're still not excited about this, about the majority that they have, in the federal government. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah.
and then you put it at state level. I mean, it's even worse on state level. This is why they have the Republicans have the majority of the seats in the country, which is crazy to me because people are always talking about this thing being bad or that thing being bad. Like, well, it's probably a Republican that's in charge. You know?
Yeah. So even in Iowa right now, like Republicans are losing their shit
Yeah.
because Democrats are making a gain in Iowa.
Mm,
In Iowa, of all places,
yeah.
because of they're trying to fix the gerrymandered maps and so forth in that state.
Mhm.
And as you're looking at the house balance right here that we have on the screen, like you got to understand that blue, they represent almost cl- almost 2/3 of the country
Yeah.
population
Right, right. Population wise, yeah,
in
yeah.
comparison to the red,
The red, yeah. Mhm.
where the places that they come from have very small populations
Right.
that vote and participate.
Yep. Land, people vote, not land. And
Yeah,
so that's one thing I hate. I hate when they show like a map of America and they're like, this state's red and that state red. No, you go to the county. Tell me what
yeah,
that county is. Tell me what that city is. I don't care about the state. You know what I'm saying? Like show me what that county and again, Mississippi is more blue than it is red. It's just that you don't get people to come out and vote. And you only have well, only like 18% of people are voting. You get the result that you get.
that's why
And
you have in Tennessee
yep.
46 million people. I mean, not 46 million people, but
Mhm.
you got what was it? Oh, man, I can't even remember the number, but you got like 6 million people um in that state.
Mhm.
46% of them are registered Democrats.
Mhm.
Only 43% are registered Republicans. But it's a red state. It's just the fact that a lot of Democrat places just don't vote.
They just don't vote. And guess where some of these Democrat places are? Black folk, Memphis,
Yep.
where black folk don't vote. And it's again, black people, people need to understand this. Black people who are participating in political conversations, majority of people who participate in these conversations, they don't vote.
Yeah.
They do not vote, man. That's the truth of the matter. People need to understand something. Black people only voted 60%, 3 times. That was twice during Obama and once during Trump. That was it. Outside of that, nationally, black people voted. 50. I think the average is like 53% or something like that. That's like an average. That's like nationally, and that is only in national elections. Any
Mhm.
off-year elections, black people are only voting at 30%. 30 nationally. So that means in your state, it is less than 30%. In your county is less than 30%. You know what I'm saying? Like it's way less than that, man. And people are participating in these conversations like there's a ton of us out here who are actually voting and making it. No, it's not. It's not. We're, we're, we're trying to get more of us. Black people have to vote at 70% for the next 20 years, 70% every year in order to see any type of change. You want reparations?
Yep.
Black people got to vote 70% every year. You know what I'm saying? I believe in
You want
reparations.
reparations, you gotta change this number.
That's what I'm saying.
And
Like,
and and you gotta be careful. of the people you select in the blue as well.
Well, I
Like,
mean, but as long as they in the long as they in the
as
blue,
long as they
it's like Joe
it's a
Manchin, right?
conversation. It's a
Yeah,
conversation.
it's like Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin voted 92% with Democrats.
Mhm.
So as long as you get somebody in the blue, and people are against all blue, no matter who, like you need to get somebody in the blue because
Yeah.
these folks in the red ain't gonna give you nothing.
No.
They're not going to give you nothing at all. So if you trying to play perfect politics, well, you're going to lose. You're going
Mhm.
to continue losing. You know what I'm saying? And again, that's why I don't participate in any more reparation conversations. Reparations is never going to happen in my lifetime. Reparations is never going to happen in my kids' lifetime. Reparations is never going to happen in my grandchildren's lifetime because we will not, black people will not vote at 70% or higher every year.
Yeah.
Sorry. Hate to say that, but that's just the facts. That's just facts.
Because 80 something percent of white voters do not support reparations. And
Yeah.
that's on the liberal side and also on the Democratic
On the
I mean,
Democrat side.
Republican side. Like,
But even
man,
the like even the other issues you have white people who are voting at 75, 80%.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh man. Yeah,
Like,
that's why
like, that's where the conversation really break down. No, okay, we know for a fact in the red that they are upwards to closer 90% of not supporting reparations. You
mm,
go to the blue, it's at least 70% that
it's
don't support.
90%. It is 90%. It is about 90% who support reparations. That's the only way you get HR 40. HR 40 right now is in the Senate. You need 60 votes for HR 40. You do not have 60 votes. You need 10 Republicans. Every Democrat has supported HR 40 that's currently in the Senate.
Besides Joe Manchin.
Besides Joe Manchin. That's it. He's the only one.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Like that's 90%.
yeah,
Like you know what I'm saying? Again, man. That's why
yeah.
I'm not participating in any. That's why that's why anybody that talk to me about reparations, I tell them quick, fast, and in a hurry. You're never going to see reparations, man. So
It's a numbers game, man.
yeah, it's a numbers game.
It's a
It is.
it's a numbers game.
Yeah, it is,
And
man.
we don't have enough people in the blue
Nah.
that are willing to have that conversation. They're willing to have that
No.
conversation.
You have enough people in the blue. That's how you get HR 40. That's what I'm saying. You have enough people in the blue. No, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah,
you don't have enough people in the blue to just move HR 40, which is in the
yeah,
Senate. It's out
yes.
of the House. The House is pat. They did what they
They
need
already
to
passed.
do over the last 6 years. They did with HR 40. It's the Senate. You do not have 10 more blue folks
Mhm.
to pass HR 40. You don't have 10. You don't have 10 more. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Yeah.
yeah. 'Cause you ain't gonna get rid of the filibuster. You
Yeah,
need to sit back and hit that 60%
you gotta hit the
threshold.
60 votes. Yeah, you gotta hit the 60 votes. And you need Republicans to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so you need to put more Senate and again, this is where progressives you they lost me. They lost me because progressives lose me at this point. You know what I'm saying? You know that the red is not going to vote for anything. You need more blue folks.
Mhm.
So why are you always attacking the folks in the blue? Why? You're creating voter apathy. If you create voter apathy, that means people will not participate in the voting process. Guess who that helps? The people in the red.
S s
This is where progressives lose me, man. They
I can
lose.
answer I can answer that question. So, is it APAC? Um,
Uh, yeah. You talking about yeah. You talking about yeah, APAC. Yeah. I know you talking about.
so APAC just, announced that they're going to donate I mean, not donate, but, put $100 million, um, to defeat all of the progressive candidates across the United States.
Oh,
Now you got
jeez.
to understand, um, the members that took APAC money, Hakeem
Mhm.
Jeffries, so like are
Yeah.
not are not saying anything at all.
Mhm.
So I'm a little more careful of saying because I get your point. Because sometimes the progressives, like, yeah, they piss me off at a point of time of like you're attacking the Democrats right now.
It's not a good strategy. Like,
It's not a good thing. But it turned in reverse because we all know Hakeem Jeffries has a history of attacking progressives.
I,
He has a long history
look, I
of,
get
of
that.
doing that. It,
Republicans ain't giving a damn about any of that.
yeah. No, yeah, yeah. But Nancy Pelosi did the same thing. But what happens is when that happens and those votes come around, the progressives then do the same thing back. And that cycle right there is what has to stop. It doesn't matter if it comes from Hakeem Jeffries or the Progressive Caucus,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
they both are participating in that demise.
And that part I'd agree. I agree, right? But the progressives don't have the big numbers in in the House, right? Nor do they have the big numbers in the Senate. You need to elect more people, progressive people in the House and in the Senate. So that way you can have a bigger voice. Right now, the reason why Jeffries and Nancy Pelosi can say what they want to say because they have the numbers. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? The progressives aren't getting the numbers because you're creating voter apathy, because you are not differentiating between your policies and the actual opposition, which is the Republicans. It is not within your party. The Republicans, the Freedom Caucus, let's take the Freedom Caucus, right? The Freedom Caucus currently is the reason why, why we had these issues with government shutdown and why Kevin McCarthy is no longer the Speaker of the House, right? They don't
Mhm.
have the numbers. I mean, they do have the numbers. They have the numbers to shut down to get rid of Kevin McCarthy. You know what I'm saying? And to also cause a government shutdown. You know what I mean? Because they have the numbers.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like they made sure to have the numbers and have the representation. But, but- and more importantly is this. They do not go against the Republican message, right? Now they go further than the Republican message, right?
mhm,
Whatever that is, you know what I mean? Whatever. They go further right, you know what I'm saying? But they don't go past it, right? Whereas you have progressives, like, sometimes they don't sound too different than the Republicans.
yeah, I agree. I agree
It
on that.
it
Yeah,
pisses me off to no end, man, and it's like, "Yo, what are y'all doing?" That's why I'm like, "Man, you know what? I'm off, man. I can't do it, man. I can't do it because, I want progress, you know what I'm saying? And y'all are sitting here trying to, cater to some mythical Trump voter out there you think that's going to, switch sides, and that's not what's gonna
ooh,
happen."
ooh, yeah. I don't think that they're the ones who's doing that. I
Oh,
think that's
like if you
I
if you
think it's
listen to
more
like
the model.
if you listen to like Nina or Jenk on TYT, like they truly are pivoting to the right because they truly
Yeah,
in this
I
populist
see what you're
message,
saying.
yeah, in this populist message that there's some mythical Trump voter out there who agrees with them on class issues. It's like Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang's the same way.
Yeah,
You think that there's some mythical Trump voter out there who agrees with you on class issues, and there's not. There
yeah,
just simply is not. You have to go get those folks who are not voting. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Yeah, and stop trying
Or
to
the new voter block.
yeah, like stop trying to appeal to these Obama voters that turned to Trump voters. Stop trying to appeal to them. They're gone. They're gone,
Yeah,
man. They're gone. So so your messaging has to be against the opposition. Now, why are you attacking and why are you creating apathy amongst people and then making people fall off the rolls? Like, you know what? Yeah, both parties are the same. I might as well not vote, right? It's like Nina Turner saying both, two bowls of shit. You know what I'm saying? No, that's not what's happening. You know what I'm saying? That's just completely false. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Even at that point and today, like we need to get to some sort of realization and some sort of reality about what is going on a federal level and what is happening on a state level where the majority of black people are living currently under Republican trifectas. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Anyway.
because that is literally I think that's where the gains can really be gained at in a lot of these counties,
Mm,
um, where the whole mythological, like, Trump voter is because, like, I really be talking to, like, some of these white folk, and, like, they don't like Lindsey Graham. They don't like Tim Scott.
they'll vote
You know,
for 'em.
no, they don't show up.
Oh, or they don't show up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah, yeah.
They don't show up.
Right, right, right,
And
right.
and and at the end of the day, like, when you sit down and talk to them,
Mhm.
like, they're really like, I'll be getting down and, like, we be talking and so forth, and once I sit back and, like, put together a string of, like, "Okay, well, you said this. Well, here's some information." And, like,
Mhm.
and once they're, like, open to the information, they're just like, "Oh, yeah, dang, I didn't even know that.
Mhm.
Oh, shit." And that right there really shows me, damn, these Democrats ain't even come talk to you at all.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Because if they sat down and actually talked to them, not come and just spit some old bullshit line,
Mhm.
literally come there and talk to them. What's her name? Tamika Mallory. Um,
Mhm.
she just got done saying the same thing.
Mhm.
They won out there in Kentucky,
Oh, in Kentucky, yeah. Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
not because the Democrats went out there.
Yeah, yeah. They didn't spend money out there.
They
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
spend
yeah.
money. They didn't show up. They like, nobody on no level sat back and backed them out there.
Yeah,
And that's the problem.
yeah, yeah.
That
No, no,
that is the problem.
yeah, I agree. I agree that it is a problem. But I also understand where they're coming from. You talk to these same folks in 2020 and they turned around and stabbed you in the back and voted for Trump. So I get I understand where they're coming from, man. Um but and also you're looking at it as a lot of these folks again are voting in these Republican trifectas in the state on a state level. But at the end of the day, like Louisiana, if you ain't got the Democrat Party who's giving you money, you got to go out there and do the hard work, and you got to go put boots to ground. That's what Gary Chambers was saying. You got to go
Yeah,
put boots to ground, and I mean it's like here in South Carolina. You got to do the hard work and do in which I'm going to be looking into
Democrat Party is shitty here.
yeah, but I'm gonna be looking to helping out as much as I can. You know what I'm saying? And it's just knocking on doors. But a lot of it is not the Democrats' fault, particularly in South Carolina, right? There's enough folks here in South Carolina who look at politics through still look at politics through Confederate and Yankee. I just call it what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
That's just what it is, man. Uh um I listen to conservative radio in the morning, and some of them people that call up are dumb. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, man, and the radio host don't call him dumb, even though he's been an elected official. And he kind of just brushes them off, because he needs the listenership and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of these folks that call in, they just look at politics through a binary, um, liberal and conservative, or what they deem as conservative. You know what I'm saying? The whatever,
I ain't
whatever.
never seen a $200,000 house that had a Confederate flag down here yet.
Hey man, that's what I'm saying, man.
You know what
And
I'm
you
saying?
That's what I'm saying. Or don't tread on me fucking flag or something like that.
I do see a lot of that in Greenville,
Well, never
man.
mind. I was gonna say, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
do see a lot. I
niggas
do see
driving BMWs.
tread on me. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I
well,
do
don't
see a
tread
lot of
on
people.
me, man.
Yeah,
Like, ain't nobody treading on you, man. You got a goddamn BMW,
you got
man.
a BMW, live in this $200,000
Yeah,
house in this
yeah,
community,
uh,
sometimes gated. You
yeah.
tell
You
me,
got $80,000 goddamn truck, man.
yeah,
What the hell is treading on you?
exactly. Ain't nobody treading on you, man. That's true though. That's true because if I go around my, that's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of a few houses when I go, when I go take Diesel for a walk. I'm like, yeah, man, nah. There's a few houses. I'm like, what are you doing? Ain't nobody treading on you in this nice neighborhood where we live
Man,
at. We are considered the suburbs where we
yeah,
live at. I went to a community meeting. And I was like, oh, dang, man. You know what? I ain't gonna talk about my little bit of problems I got. 'Cause where these folks living? It's about my ward where I live at. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Oh, nah, man. They really got problems. I ain't got no. You know what? I ain't got no
yeah.
problems. I ain't got no problems. You know what? I just wanted a sidewalk. That's I just wanted a sidewalk. They need more tax help than I need. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, man.
And,
You
and,
know.
and it's crazy because you know I got my little RBG flag on the truck, and
Mhm,
I got the power to the people hand, and it's
mhm.
choking out the snake.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and you'll be surprised. Like, I catch so many people looking at me and looking at the truck, and like, I had some people that even ask me, man, I gotta ask you, man, what does
What does it
that
mean?
mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Mhm,
I'm glad you asked. I
mhm.
said, man, y'all being fooled by the rich folk, man.
Yeah.
And y'all got rich people that are talking about don't tread on me, but the rich folk are the ones who's treading on you.
It's actually treading on you, man. Yeah, man. I need to get that, man. I need to get that one that you
I'm actually I need to go ahead and do it because
Mm,
somebody already asked me like, man, I think my dad really like that, man. If you can print that out, man.
yeah.
And so I'm thinking about going ahead and at least getting some more made. I want to redefine the image a little bit more. But
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
no, man, like the real fact is, man, it's some people when you sit down and you talk to them,
Mhm.
and it's a strong black man.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm, mhm,
man, I stand in my blackness when I'm talking to them.
mhm. Yeah.
Like they sit back and be like, man, that's what's up, man. And I'm talking
Mhm,
about like I done talked to dudes that had Stone Cold like Confederate flags tatted on their necks.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
And they be like, man, brother, it was nice to meet you, man.
Yeah.
And like I don't will back and I don't talk to him like Tim Scott.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Tim Scott, the Panders.
And they respect it a lot more
Mhm.
than hearing Tim Scott.
Yeah. Because they
Because
realize,
they
like,
know they know how they suffer.
yeah, exactly. Like our issues, our issues and what we care about are not that different. It's just that there's just a side of them that just being fooled by these folks, man. Just being fooled, and again, is what the Populist Party in the 1890s was about. It was about black farmers and white farmers who got together because they were tired of being fooled by the wealthy class, and they got together to create a political party in the populist movement, populist rhetoric that we had today. Um, you know, um, uh, uh, and they formed a movement based on economic interests. You know what I'm saying? But again, the it is mainly the Republican Party. I would like to say that the Democrats participate in this, but it's mainly the Republican Party that convince people that these individuals' interests are not tied to other people's interests. You know what I'm saying? It's more tied to tribalism than it is to economics. And that's just not true, man. That's just not true. We see it, man. We see it every day. You know what I'm saying? We got rural towns in this country that are literally dying. People are leaving, and the older people that stay there, you know what I mean, are dying, and that town is dying. Hospitals are closing. There's no resources, no highways, no economic development. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you know what I mean, they're telling you as immigrants, they're telling you as CRT, They're telling you it's school vouchers. They're telling you it's all these other things when it's not, man. And then once these folks get into power, guess what they want to do? They want to lower the tax rate for wealthy folks, raise the age in which you can retire.
Mhm.
What I mean? Meaning you work longer. You know what I'm saying? They don't
Man,
want you to have healthcare.
bro,
Housing.
uh,
Go ahead, bro.
our little town had 40 something $1 million in their coffer.
Man,
But our little town, man, we literally got 18,000 people live here.
that's crazy.
40 plus $1 million in their coffer.
Wow.
Who you think gonna get access to that money?
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be the wealthy folk. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Yeah, they create laws and create rules. It's just like in Texas, what Texas tried to do with the scam for the voucher scam. It was going to redistribute wealth up to the wealth, trickle up economics. Folk need to research and understand. We've been trickling up economics since Reagan, since the 1980s, man. I keep saying this. I am tired of living under Ronald Reagan. This is the 40th plus year of Ronald Reagan. I'm tired of living under this, Ronald Reagan. I don't want my kids to live under Ronald Reagan either. You know what I'm saying? It's about time that we, got together and did what was best for our children. So,
Yeah.
anyway, yeah,
Yes,
we've been
sir.
going for a minute, man. Going for a minute, man. Yeah, man. Appreciate.
Because conservatives pissed us off. Black conservatives pissed us off.
Yeah, man, man, really, really, truly. Oh man, it's been a minute, and we just had a lot of stuff pent up. But man, yeah, Black conservatives really big. Man, I got a book coming. Clay Kane, he wrote a book called the Grift Black Conservatives. So that don't drop till
Buddy.
January.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, man, can't wait to read that. But yeah, man, Black conservative. Oh man, I just can't stand them or any other Black person that's just hyper Trump. Man, I don't want to hear what you got to say, man. I don't want to hear what you got to say. And if you say something, I'm gonna make sure I punch you in the dick.
Yeah.
I beat you down with kindness. That's how I do.
Yeah,
Beat you
yeah.
down with kindness. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, man, any last words, bro?
Man, again, we're gonna keep on expressing it again. Man, black folk, look, keep your eyes open and your head on the swivel and make sure you fucking vote.
Yeah,
Think about your goddamn kids.
yeah, man. I'm a piggyback on that, as we say in the military. Piggyback on that and say, man, Black people have to vote at 70% or higher in order to see change in this country. You know what I mean? Until that happens, we won't see too much change. We'll continue to see incremental change, and it'll be slow. And the things you want to happen during your lifetime is not going to happen in your lifetime. But that doesn't mean you won't be able to leave something behind for your children, man. We got to change the course of not only democracy in this country, but the course of politics and the course of society in this country. You know what I'm saying? Black people have always been at the forefront of that. Always, always, always. You read any historical information, we have always been at the forefront of that. When other people had joined in uh, in our fight. You know what I'm saying? And got in where they fit in. You know what I'm saying? No matter what their ethnic group was, or the religion was, or gender. You know what I'm saying? They always joined us. So, you know, uh, 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 yeah. 2024 is going to decide, what our future looks like, and you need to think long and hard. What is the future that you want? You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Without all the BS. And so,
buddy.
yeah, man. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? And this, you know what I'm saying, podcast when we out, man. Appreciate y'all.